If there's one thing I cannot stand, is the term shallowing. It's a glorified way to say flat, and that's the problem with golf instruction out there, is there's so much new terminology that's basically just recycling stuff and coming up with new names to confuse the living hell out of you. Similar to what the great comedian George Carlin talked about with the name change, used cars all of a sudden went to pre-owned vehicles. A similar thing is happening here in the golf instruction world, and we're going to look today about shallowing the golf club. Something I deal with on a daily basis with students that watch this stuff. They all want to shallow the club, but really most of us don't even bother with this, and we're going to talk about why. Watch these videos, and if need be, break some of them down. So stay with me. If you do like this, hit that like, share, subscribe. But other than that, shallow. Shallow. Alright, let's get started. Shallow the golf club in the search terms. We're going to just go down these by order and see what we have to watch.
We see a lot of golfers trying to do it, flexing the wrist, trying to get the elbow tucked in. But if you do this, it's going to be so difficult, and it's probably going to ruin your golf swing. So the main goal with Pete was to get at the top of the backswing, to get the arms a little bit more around, so when we draw a line from the butt end of the club, it passes more through the heel line. And how we did that was with sort of how we move the body. The first thing we're going to pay attention to, which Pete did, is what the left knee did, the front knee. So Pete's golf swing from face on, we'll see that the front knee didn't really move that much. And if I don't move this front knee and try and swing to the top of the backswing, that is as far as I can go. Now look where the butt of the club is and look how short the swing is. Now watch this. If I allow the front knee to turn in, look at the difference in turn, but look where the butt of the club is now. When the butt of the club is here, we now have space for the club to swing.
Okay, I get what he's saying. More rotation gets that club deeper, further back behind you. However, that rotation could come from many forms, and I know he's saying the left knee needs to bend in, but what I fear and what I can see happening is a bunch of people out there collapsing that left knee, stacking on the left side, and getting stuck some other way. I do like what he said about comparing this to somebody he's working with, so maybe he should have stipulated this as, hey, we're working with this guy, it works for him. It might not be the case for you, but this is what's happening with his swing, and I think he did a good job explaining that, but I would have liked to see him a little bit more clear. It doesn't make sense to get you more room, but that's not all. Once you create that room, now what do you do with it? So it's just another small stepping stone to get you to swing more. Oh, God, shallow. Okay, Xander Schauffele reveals his shallow golf swing. Schauffele. Let's just say XS. XS reveals his shallow golf swing trick. Full video link below. Oh, a trick. Let's watch this trick. Here's an easy way to shallow the golf club every time. Move the right arm, or copy the right arm move of Xander Schauffele. What is he doing? I'm not even going to comment on that. That's just ridiculous. Shallow the club like this to follow your turn in the downswing.
It's moving back this way as I transition to get that shaft kind of perpendicular to my spine here, where it's 90 degrees. Now, it gives me a lot of time. I've got all day to turn and hit that golf. It's moving back this way as I transition to get that shaft.
All right, so this one, God, I hate doing this because now I got to go download some stuff. All right, I'm going to go download some stuff. We're going to talk about how that is just going to be a recipe for disaster. I can see, again, everybody getting so flat. Oh, perpendicular to my spine. But the problem is when you're hitting driver, most of us cannot retain our spine angles. And if you focus on getting it perpendicular, there's going to be some issues. If you stand taller and you get in the perpendicular, it's going to be just as flat as the ground level, and you're going to be suffering some major contact issues. So it really depends on your setup. So let's just take a look at this video right now. I downloaded 3 videos from YouTube, cropped them together. It took a while because I had to sync them all up. They're all different speeds, so leave a like for me if you would, because it took some time. But let's take a look at some planes first and talk about what that gentleman said. Trying to get that's hard to see. Let's do an easy one to see. Let's do red. Pretty easy to see red, and we're going to draw their planes and trying to get these planes as best as we can because they're not exactly synced up at address, but to get them to sync up at impact, you have to crop it around a little bit. But the key is looking at this spine angle. So the spine angle is what that gentleman was talking about, and he was trying to say that he's getting his club perpendicular to that spine angle on his way down. Now that sounds theoretically great. In order for this to happen, can you see some problem here based on your initial setup? Let's say I do get that to perpendicular. Let's say my arm hang length will remain the same. And if we take 90 degrees from that, which is perpendicular, you can see where that club shaft would be. So A, we'd have to manipulate something pretty quick, so that would not work. So we'd have to adapt our spine angle correctly to allow it to get to perpendicular. Now remember, perpendicular, when the amateur hears that, we know that they're going to lay that thing off and get as flat as they can, and the flatter they become, the harder it is, because we know amateurs do not turn and tilt correctly. So that's going to lead to heavy shots, shanks, blocks, rope hooks, because you are coming so far into out that if your club face is slightly close to that, boom, that thing's going way left. So let's go straight down to impact, and we can see right there. Okay, so they're all pretty much in the slot. Now let's see, this is about the same angle. Do we have any of these that get perpendicular to the spine? And let's do this in greens. We're just going to make sure that first of all they match their spines. We can see a few of them have changed their spine angles. So let's do the new spine angle. Adam Scott, he's just so solid. Hasn't really changed much of his spine angle. We see Dustin Johnson does slightly increase that spine angle. So let's redraw his spine angle. And we see Rory McIlroy slightly stood up and gets closer. Now I've done evaluations on all of these people. So if you want to see a detailed evaluation, go check out my channel. Just type in their names, that evaluation pop up. So we're not going to get too detailed, but let's see in this position, do we have any that are perpendicular to that spine? So right now, no. Closest one we might see is Adam Scott. So let's get our green, let's get our yellow tool out again, draw it relative to his spine angle, and let's see, he is at 97, so he doesn't quite get there. Spine angle here, and we draw, this one is pretty close. So we have 94, and Rory is going to be here, and he's at 102. So 90 is the number we're looking for. They're not at perpendicular. We have one that's really close, Dustin in the middle, but you notice how much he's tilting down and rotating. Do you know any amateurs that you play with on your weekend warrior foursome that will look like that right before impact? If you do, he's on the wrong place. He should be playing with these guys and girls, because only the elite athletes can do this. And the reason we can't stay perpendicular to our spine is because at impact, look at our hand position. If you stayed perpendicular to the spine for Adam Scott, and we're going to draw perpendicular at impact based on their spine angles, and we can see that's nowhere near. So I would not even think about getting the club perpendicular, because you're just going to invite chaotic motions. It's going to be very frustrating for you. I understand what he's trying to accomplish by giving you a feeling of maybe getting the perpendicular. He doesn't go over the need of your body to get in that position. But look at Dustin Johnson. He was the closest one to perpendicular. And again, look at that impact position. I'm sorry, guys and girls, if you're watching this, there's no way you can get in that impact position. I can't get in that impact position. Most of us cannot. So get away from shallowing. It's overused, it's overtaught, and it doesn't make sense for you. Let's get back to the video. All right, next one, down the line shallowing. Get a personal lesson with Porzak Golf. Let's take a look.
So watch, this is the old one. Watch the hands go out, guys. Watch the club go way out there, okay? And then it goes up. Now watch this one. Look at the hands go straight back, and look at the club more, it's still in front of you, but not way the heck out there. So it's gonna go up the forearm. Your lead arm's gonna be more on the shoulder plane. You're gonna transition a little shallower, but still be on top of it right there. What that head cover does, you guys, it keeps the body and hands working more together, and also keeps his right arm a little softer, doesn't let it stiffen out. Like, that's just unbelievably better. So watch, this is the old one. Let's go out, guys.
Okay, so with that one, that head cover drill, man, again, I can just see the average amateur putting that head cover way too tight, getting really flat, stuck, flippy, and they can't rotate to make that position work. Most of us cannot rotate. Most of us that cannot rotate need to be steeper to alleviate that rotation need. But without knowing that, it's going to be very plaguing for your golf swing, frustrating time for you. So what we're going to do is break down that video too. I'm going to have to copy that one, put it on the swing analysis software, because I think a lot of this has to do with camera angles. I personally didn't notice that much difference, but we'll take a look at the difference and kind of figure things out from there. So let's go download this. Okay, so here we have his before and after swing, and obviously the one on the right side, you can see that head cover, and the whole purpose of this head cover, I would imagine, is to help him stay more connected with his initial turn, which would make sense to help you get deeper. So if you do struggle with getting depth, making sure your arms are connected to that turn can assist you, but it doesn't mean it's the be-all, end-all. Look at Jack Nicklaus, look at Jim Furyk, look at Bubba Watson. They all disconnect immediately, but yet they played on tour. And if we don't forget, the great Golden Bear was arguably the best golfer that ever lived with a flying elbow. So is this really necessary to tell people to put this head cover on them? No, because more often than not, it just leads to failure. Now we're also going to start doing some plane lines, and this is not going to be an in-depth analysis of his swing fundamentals. It is just going to look to see what is changing with that arm more connected to that turn. Now the thing that is going to kind of ruin this is the fact that we don't have the same camera angle. Now this does play a part when you start to see positions. Look at where that alignment rod is on the left versus the alignment rod on the right. We have a clear different camera angle. So basically the one on the right side should have been recorded further left to match up. Now this will play a part, and I believe this is what might change the perception of what is occurring, but numbers never lie and the positions at the top never lie. So we take that first move back, we can see the one on the right side is definitely closer to that lower plane line, and we see the club face on the left side versus the club face on the right side. We see little change, but yes, this is probably one of the better golfers in the world, so that little change does play a big part. It is hard to see turn difference. I don't see much turn, and we will start to see, does this person increase their shoulder tilt, because the tilting is really what's assisting this as well. If you get your left arm to stay further down, it naturally will bring your left shoulder to maintain in its posture and increase the tilt. So let's look at the tilting number in our favorite Barney Purple, and let's do it so they're right about there's equal. So now we go, there's that shoulder. I'm trying to get this as close as I eyeball can, and yes, I've got my glasses on because I'm losing eyesight. So we do that there and also that there. So we have 45 degrees on the right side, 43 degrees on the left side. So we have a 2-degree increase of tilt. Now if we take a look at this position and we're going to draw from the butt of the club straight down, can we see a difference already? There's the butt of the club straight down, and it is, you know what, we've got a straight down tool. Again, we pay $9.95 a month. Let's use the full stuff. So butt of the club straight down and butt of the club straight down. The after one does look slightly inside, but is it anything to write home about? Not necessarily. We see the same club face angle, and somebody might be able to argue this and say, look, we have one that is definitely more inside, which is the one on the right side. It's going through its right forearm. But I'm going to argue that the camera angle can change his perception, because if you move the camera on the right side further left to match up, then we might see a little tiny difference, but nothing to write home about. And we go straight to the top. Now this is the moment of truth. Now let me move my head slightly over there so we can see the very top right there. Now let's draw some stuff. And first of all, let's do a vertical line straight from the grip down on both of these, straight from the grip down. And we see that the club is sitting almost in identical positions. Look at the foot on the bottom. They're almost identical. We see the club face matching that left forearm. And let's take a tilt number one more time at the top of this swing. And we're going to try and get the tilt number really close. So what we're going to do is go from right in that corner, right where that line is on his jacket, and go right through the bottom of that script there, and then match it up to as close as eyeball as I can. So right where that little thing is, that seam to the bottom of the script, and we see that they are pretty identical, 38, 39. So we haven't changed the tilt much. We haven't changed the top position much. We see the depth of the club is the same position. All that really changed is the initial takeaway, and I can argue that that is the camera angles are shifted. Now, how much are they shifted, you say? Well, let's just find out. So we're going to draw right on that alignment rod and pull it straight to the right. And there's 83 3 degrees. And let's do it with the same one right on that alignment rod and pull it straight to the right, and we have 93 degrees. So it's 10 degrees off. Now 10 degrees off will definitely change your path on the way back. That's why it's very important to take these the correct way. Now this is assuming he's aiming on his alignment rod. So let's just double check that. Let's just put it on the foot line and see. We have 98, and this foot line we have 92. So yeah, it's about 7 degrees difference with the foot line, and I'm assuming this player is a really good player. So once the feet are set, the body will match the feet accordingly. So do we see a huge difference? In my opinion, no. I think it's the exact same motion. You can still see the arm height, the right arm height. It looks like you can fit the same head cover on the before swing in that little gap. So be very careful when you watch these. So let's get back to the videos. All right, next up, don't shallow the hands, shallow the ribs. Okay. So, I mean, hopefully you can see how complicated these moves are. I don't see Joe Smith, who plays once every couple weeks, sits on the sofa, works for a living, getting in that position. It's such an exaggerated position. That's injury prone. And the thing that these instructors are failing to understand is why the average person can't get flatter. And I'm going to use the term flatter, not this shallow nonsense. Why they cannot get flatter is the lack of rotation, and it's usually on the way back. So like that video where he talked about the hands need to be deeper, I like that because he's explaining a little bit why you have to put yourself in a position to be shallow. The problem is most of you guys watching this and girls watching this cannot get that rotation unless you start sacrificing some major positions, more specifically with your weight distribution. And now you're going to be fighting that weight distribution to stay steady, and you're going to try and get shallow from an unsteady weight distribution. You're going to be fighting yourself again. So it all stems from your rotation. And if you cannot rotate, if you don't even know your rotation numbers, if you haven't even gone to go and get a TPI testing where it tests your rotation numbers, you shouldn't even be thinking about shallowing. When you get flatter or shallow, you're basically dropping it into your slot. Now, it depends on where your slot is. You don't want to be too flat related to your slot, which is basically where your setup numbers were. And the second reason is to reduce your angle of attack. So if you don't know what your angle of attack is, why are you just going to willy-nilly try this stuff out and expect to hit it like a pro? Man, this is what's very frustrating with the YouTube Rabbit Hole Academy. And it is very frustrating as a coach that has taught this game for so long, that's made a living for decades instructing amateurs that are watching YouTube, because it's just all empty promises and to get you to click and sign up and be promised this stuff will be easy and 2 or 3 magic moves. There's no magic moves. It's all garbage. Don't fall for the fluff. Go get yourself a coach. Invest in a coach. And if you cannot afford a coach, I do my Red Light Live series every Sunday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here live on YouTube. Send me your video, face on down the line. I will help you for free because I don't care about making money on this channel. I care about educating you to help you better understand your cause and effect, to keep you away from all this. If you do like this, hit that like, share, subscribe. It really helps get this free education out there to more golfers in your situation. Other than that, I'll see you next time. Fairways and greens.